This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning and welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve. As you can see, we're currently looking at the moon. It's going to set a little bit later. It is a very misty morning here at Djuma. We will be reporting live today from all our locations, which is great news. We will be able to send you some great footage and I hope you will enjoy it. So, welcome on board your very own live safari through the African bush. Welcome back to Djuma. We're currently at Gari Dam. It is quite quiet here, looking at some Egyptian geese. And it is cold and misty. It looked like it's going to open up and it's going to be a beautiful day. There was a hippo as well around here, but I can't see it anymore. Went underneath the water. My name is Cedric. I have BK on camera with me this morning. So on our side this morning, we will check around Gari Dam. There was audio of lions around here. And so we'll see if we can pick up on some trucks or even find them. Otherwise, apart from that, we're just going to drive around. Please don't forget to send us your questions on #WildEarth at FC on YouTube. And you can also go register on our website and send your question on the live safari page. If you're also underage, you can send us an email at kidsquestion@wildearth.tv. Please tell us your age as well. You can see a bit of mist on the water there. It is quite cold this morning. So I have my gloves on to try to stay warm. And there's our hippo. He probably came back from a long night of feeding around the dam here. There's still quite a lot of grass around here, so I don't think you need to move too much at night. But as you know, we can cover a very big distance at night. I see only one hippo at the moment, so I think she is probably a territorial bull. It would be nice to try to find the calamity, so I think we will maybe start moving from here. Check on Central Road. See if we can pick up anything. Let's go. It's not often that you see animals at the Waterhole in the morning because it's quite cold. But sometimes you can bump in a buffalo herd, for example, like last time at Chitwa Dam, which was very nice with the mist. So it's always good to check anyway. But I came that side because there was an update on the dam cam that there was lions roaring in the distance. So I said, why not come past the dam and check alongside that side of the property. Of course, in the morning, you have to look for trucks on the road. It's the best time of the day to look for trucks because there's no vehicle who drove on the road, so the trucks look nice and fresh on top of the vehicle tracks. I think we will have a beautiful sunrise this morning. Yesterday afternoon I spent some time with Tavongumi in another part of the reserve near Zoe's Road. So I don't know where he went. I hope he didn't cross south to another property. So maybe later on we'll go check that area as well. It was a very nice sighting. It was difficult driving through the blocks, but I was very happy when he stopped on the termite mount and looked at us. That was very nice. I'm going to continue straight, but first of all I'm going to check that jackalberry, where there's the remain of a kill from Tlalomba a few weeks ago. Just to check, I like to check that tree if there's anything in it. Didn't see any tracks so far, only Hyena tracks. Just crossing fingers for morning. For Leopard, yes. So you can see there the remains of Impala. Yeah, so Tlalomba was feeding on that Impala in that beautiful jackalberry. It is a nice spot here. There's a little drainage line, a riverbed at the back. So it's always good to check here. Just going to check if there's anything in that tree. I'm not only looking for leopards, obviously, I'm looking also for a Vero's eagle owl that's in the area. Obviously, they will not be too active in the morning, they're more active at night. But it's always good to check if they're not sitting on a branch. You can see how the mist, it is very misty. Okay, I think we'll carry on and see if we can find anything. There were some buffaloes here a while ago. Sorry, it's so cold that you can see, even when we talk, there's a bit of mist coming out. And when you start the car as well, it's the same thing. I will just have to cross a little dip soon, so I hope we're not going to lose signal. It is beautiful now. The sun is coming out a little bit. Let me just reverse so a bit big. I want to show you that there. I really like the morning, the early morning with the colors is very special. Same in the afternoon, just before the sunset as well. Okay, let's carry on and hope that we don't lose signal. Okay, so we're going to continue on Central Road and check there. As you can see, it's misty and cold here this morning, but let's see what is the weather at our other locations.
Everyone, would you look at that sun? It's slowly starting to rise, thank goodness. It's rather chilly this morning. Yeah. The temperatures seem to have dropped again. I need my 3 layers rather than 2. Would you look at that? We're on our northern boundary, Cutline, and the views are just spectacular. Good morning, my name is Lauren. I do have Davi on camera today, and we are literally just doing that, admiring the views. The northern highway, Cutline. You can just see the mist rising. Oh, due to the sort of water droplets that are suspended in the air, due to that sun coming up. Would you look at that? Team Wendy have no plans today. quite like to scratch around and see if I really can get any more information on the Djuma clan. Maybe check some dens. We don't know where they're denning, whether it's Djuma, Little Gowrie, Chitwa. I'm guessing it's Little Gowrie, but we don't know. I'm going to try and scratch around. Maybe go down to Chitwa, see if I can see any signs of them. But we're not going to get the answers to those questions until we scratch around. I know many of you are missing the Djuma clan. I'm missing the Djuma clan. I always get asked for updates, but as it stands, I just don't have them. I still have not managed to find out about Heart's pair. They are the only individuals that I've not managed to see, Gingerika and Pumela. So we're going to sit here a little bit longer and listen. That is the key to a great start in the morning. We're sitting watching the sunrise from our northern boundary. And it's beautiful. It's a good time to watch the sunrise and also listen. So that's what we're going to do. Listen for any sounds of the morning as we appreciate the views in front of us. Isn't it glorious? We're now going to start to bumble and drive along this highway.
Good morning. Welcome to the dawn. Welcome to the sunrise here in Eco Training in Pridelands, where it is an absolutely sensational morning, albeit a little bit fresh. Good morning, everybody. My name is Steve, joined by Gert on camera, and we are just taking it easy this morning, allowing the sun to rise, allowing it to warm our bodies. It is pretty fresh after yesterday morning's the wind blowing and things were warm, and then I think the day got colder. But now as the sun rises, it pushes that sort of cold air down, and so around sunrise in the first half hour or so is generally the coldest time of the day as the sun pushes the cold air down, but it will warm up soon. And we're going to go on a walk. We're going to go and explore this area just to the north of us now, or should I say to the south, see what we can find. We're still bubbling over with our leopard encounter last night. Very, very special indeed. Got some information from James Richard, who reckons that male leopard, and James Richard knows his leopards very well, is an unnamed male leopard that comes all the way from Kalahari. He's got a few pictures of him. It's been seen before, and I've passed the relevant information on to the powers that be, and maybe this male leopard will receive a name if he is indeed trying to, or clearly demarcating and claiming a territory here on Pridelands, quite close to the eco training camp. No doubt he is deserving a name. Get to see him again sometime. Those of you who missed it last night, we heard impalas calling and moved into the area. And then a leopard called very close by. We thought, let's just jump off the road here and stand very close to the road in a little bush, a little thicket. And lo and behold, this male leopard walked straight towards us. It was very, very exhilarating. The sun is very impressive, and it is hopefully going to warm us up soon, because it is a little bit fresh this morning. But that is August. It's going to start getting warmer day by day, and then suddenly we're going to be complaining about how warm it is again. So this morning we might have a look at a few tracks, maybe point out a tree or two while we send you over to Rule to say good morning.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to andBeyond, Ngala's Private Game Reserve, where we currently have the Birmingham Pride on screen for you this morning as we decided to start things off with these lines. Morning, everybody. My name is Roel, and behind the camera we have got Morgan today. We are planning on trying to see if we can find the rest of the Birmingham Pride, try and figure out where all these lines could have gone yesterday. Where we are, these lines have scattered throughout. It is just that with the reeds, it's difficult to see all of them all together, but we might just have to reposition every now and again to show you the different lines and all that. Already seen that one of the raw smells is here. Not sure if the second one is here. And then we will also try and get to see we can see the cubs. You can see there's the two that are lying down in here. If you look right in the middle of your screen, right in the middle of these reeds, there we go. That is a male lion lying down there, quite difficult to see. So all these lions have laid down, and are some behind the reeds and all that stuff. So hopefully we'll spend some time and then get to reposition in different angles and then get them. I'm hoping that with the sun coming up, it might just light them up in the riverbed, which will be a very beautiful, beautiful sighting. But because these are in a much open area, it's nicer just to look at them for now. Look at the stomach on that lioness lying down there at the back there. That's just buffalo in there. It is one of the best things. Like they haven't moved far from where they were yesterday. And I think they could have just moved to get a drink, find some water, and then came down and settled down here. There was a lot of noise this morning. A lot of lions roaring and a lot of hyenas. So I know one vehicle went back to where the carcass was, because since they have moved, it means that they have finished off eating. So hyenas could have been in the area, and they will let us know if there are any clan members in the area. If there are, which I doubt, we might make our way there to try and see hyenas feeding, which would be awesome. But it's impressive to see that they've managed to finish an entire buffalo in less than 12 hours, or 12 hours, roughly. Lincoln, you are looking at extra full tummies this morning. Look at that one lying down with the head just dropping into the depth of the tire marks there. You'd think that's uncomfortable for the neck and all that. It's an awkward position to be sleeping in. It looks like a young one. Might even be one of those 1-year-old, one and a bit. There are 2 cubs that were born. I'm sure you guys probably know. In April last year, just after lockdown started. And those 2 have survived. And the female that gave birth is the sister of that Birmingham young male with a limp. So this has been her first litter. And on her own, she's managed to single-handedly raise these 2 because there was no other lioness that gave birth at that time. She was the only lioness that gave birth, so she had to look after the cubs. And it was quite challenging, I can imagine. This was the first time to give birth, and she managed to do it so well. And these cubs have been alive for the past year and a bit. Look, it does look like a very nice pillow. Although you'd have to, make a little heap first, put your head upright. Well, in this case, this young lion has got its head dropping down, which I thought it would be painful for the neck. But I mean, if you think about it, honestly, they sleep on uneven ground every single day. And it's probably been sleeping on uneven ground for a long time. So all right. It's nice seeing these lions. I'm sure we'll get to see them today again and again. For now, let's send you guys to Steve, who's on some tracks.
Welcome back, everybody, and well, we just found a really nice example of a track in the sand that I wanted to point out. We've got what looks like a hoof over here, and 2 marks at the back. There's another one over here, another hoof, and then if we look over here, you can see another example of double hoof, and then these things at the back. I wonder if any of you can tell me who this is, and I'll show you a very nice example of this animal. And not something we always see in certain substrates, but this indication this animal was moving very quickly by those tracks being quite indented, and by the fact that these 2 marks are evident in the sand. You see them in muddy conditions or very sandy conditions, and also when this animal is moving quite fast. Not always very evident. The size of the hoof is about 5 centimeters. But then adding on that as well, that takes it up to close to 8-9. It's a different part of the animal's leg. So I wonder if any of you know who this might be. Remember when I left here last time, we did quite a fair amount of tracking 101. And I think many of you quite enjoyed the lessons learned. And if you don't know, that's all right. We learn each time. It's a very nice example. I don't know if that's the front or the back foot. I think it's the front by the width. Much more narrow, quite square on the sides. Quite square, clearly a line in the between of the hoof, so 2 hooves, or 2 toes, you could say. Chris, you say bush pig. Now, bush pig has got like a mapani leaf kind of shape. Bush pigs have got this kind of shape, very, very round. And I think I'd be far more excited if we saw a bush pig right now. Bush pigs do occur in the savannah, but they like very riverine, forested areas. But their track looks very much like that of a mapani leaf. But you're not far off in your idea. This is a far more common animal, very similar to that of a bush pig. Maybe they are slightly related. I wonder if anybody can guess it for me. I think I might have a bush pig in my book as well. I'll look, show you the difference. Yes, Joy, you have got it 100% right. Joy says warthog. So let me show you here in the book. You can see the track there. The front, far more square than the back. It's a little bit sharper. But the dew claws, which we were pointing out before, are very evident in this warthog's track. Not always seen. In very sandy soil it can be seen, and in mud. So they're very nice to see that. And this one was moving quite quickly. And the dew claw is essentially because these animals have evolved a very different structure of the foot. I'm going to have to use my hand to demonstrate. Okay, so we call our hand, if I put my whole hand down, plantigrade, because I put the entire thing down on the ground. So I do that, and it leaves a very nice plantigrade track. Now, lions and cats walk on their toes, on the fingers, and then the thumb over here is their dew claw, where they use for grabbing and for catching. Antelope species have taken these two nails here, and they've formed a hoof like that, and these two fingers over here have moved back up onto what you'd call the tarsals of the fingers up there. So that's essentially what these dew claws are over there, or these dew nails, dew toes, whatever you want to call them, are essentially. So they're walking on their hoof, and those two are reduced back up. Okay, and sometimes on a zebra, you'll notice the thumb high up on the zebra's leg, which is essentially, I think they call the cherry or something like that, all the way up here on a zebra's leg.
One thing that WildEarth strives to achieve is to connect kids with our natural world. One person who agrees with this is Kate, an 11-year-old girl who founded Kids Can Save Animals to help inspire her generation to help mend the planet. Her motto is that kids may be young, but age does not define your impact. Kate is coming all the way from America to join us at Djuma for a live safari. She wants to connect with all of the WildEarth kids, answer your questions, and help you understand that there are plenty of ways that you can make a difference regardless of your age. So join us on the 4th of August at 2:30 p.m. Central African Time for a very special kids safari.
Here at the Advanced Rifle Handling Challenge, which is actually lots of challenges in one to gauge the contestants' skills at different distances and different speeds. This is probably the challenge that the contestants are the most nervous about. So let's get them locked and loaded. The competitors are now doing the Hades halt, where they have to run back and forth to a target, turn, take aim, and shoot. And this simulates a chase in a real environment and gets the heart pumping and the blood pressure up. James gave us a demonstration, and the skill involved in this exercise is remarkable.
This is a battle of two great carnivores of the African wilderness. Whew. Whoa! You don't want to be under those jaws. Definitely, this round goes to the lion. Look at that. Fantastic.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
We haven't had much luck on our side just yet. We are doing the cut lines, or at least 2 out of the 4 cut lines. Half. We've done Buffelshoek, the north one, and now we're doing cheetah cut line, the eastern one. A female leopard was found just a little bit further east than we are right now last night. I'm guessing it was Tandy, but I don't know. The name wasn't called in. So we're just going to check cheetah cut line and see if anything has crossed. And we haven't really warmed up yet. Hence why I'm driving so slowly. Sometimes you have to really put the work in here to find animals. Okay, we're going to do our very best to listen, look, and hopefully get lucky. But I believe Rule has already been lucky this morning.
Yeah, we'll do that. Well, at least we're fortunate enough to get the dark-maned Rosemel lift up his head so that we could see. And I'm just hoping that you could see the sun coming straight onto his face. Maybe we'll get some nice footage. Andy, you're asking if they might go for a drink anytime soon. I think they have gone through the night because there were tracks of them on both sides of the riverbed, and there are pens with water on both sides. Also close to where they had the carcass yesterday, there is water there. There are tracks of them around tented camp, so they moved around a little bit and just came down and settled down here. So for them to go for water, maybe not this morning, but maybe later on in the afternoon, yes, they might. But for now, I think they'll be lying down here and just resting. I think, guys, we might also leave these lions lying down here. Maybe come back before the end of the show to see if there have been any changes. So we'll send you guys to Phinda right now.
Good morning, everybody, and a warm welcome to andBeyond's Phinda Private Game Reserve. We have come across some very fat and lazy lions this morning, who yesterday managed to catch a zebra not too far from the lodge, which is quite exciting. You can see them, a couple of them are still busy at the back there, biting off pieces of the carcass or what remains of that zebra. My name is Matt, and behind the camera we've got Glenn this morning. And yeah, what a way to start the morning with these these lions. You can see a couple of them, like I was saying just now, still busy at the back there. I can't imagine there to be much left of that zebra. The entire pride was here, bar the big male lions like you saw now with Rule. But there is a mom here with 3, I'd call them close to sub-adults now. They're about close to 2 years old. And then 4 youngsters around a year old. And then the 2 older lionesses. In fact, I think there was a 3rd older lioness. You can see at the back there, the mom of the 4 youngsters. She's got her head down at the moment. At the carcass, and they were squabbling over the scraps just now because there's not much left. When those faces come quite close together, fighting over what's left, they can get quite irritable with one another, and you hear a couple of snarls and growls. And if I keep quiet for a couple of seconds, you can actually hear them. It sounds like they're using those carnassial shears, the teeth in the sides of their jaws to cut through skin or sinew to maybe uncover parts of that zebra that haven't been touched just yet. Something's got this lioness's attention. Lovely little bit of light coming through this morning as well. Really, really lovely morning here on Phinda. We heard a couple of... Oh. It's one of those really young cubs that got a bit of discipline there from that older lioness. Coming to greet mom. Unbelievable scenes this morning. Tail between the legs as it leaves the scene of the crime to get some affirmation or some love from mom. Amazing just to listen to them as well as they greet one another and show one another some affection. See that youngster getting a little bit of grooming now. With its head having been in the carcass, there might be bits and pieces of that zebra that would still be on it that mom is now getting rid of. And have a look at just how fat their bellies are. They are full of zebra. And amazing, because that will probably do them good for the next 2 or 3 days or so before they look to hunt again. And we're not too far from a watering hole, so I can only imagine that zebra came down yesterday for a drink at some stage during the day. Like I said, we heard lesser striped swallows, so definitely a change of season on the way. Warmer days, and a lot of the plains animals will go down to watering holes to have a drink. And unfortunately for that one, happened to stumble upon a pride of lions. It looks like peace has been restored at the backside now. There's that older lioness who is doing the disciplining. Jackie, you're asking which pride of lions this is. We refer to them as the mountain pride. Their territory spreads for the most part throughout the south of the reserve and into bits of the east as well. And yeah, the 2 older lionesses here with youngsters at the moment. Quite exciting that there's one that we've seen that's quite heavily pregnant as well. So in the next couple of months we might see a couple more faces in this pride, which is really exciting. And nice to see the different ages and stages of them as well. From these 4 really youngsters, they look like spatchcock chickens at the moment, the way they're splayed out on the ground, almost like a crime scene. And in the two males, well, what was 2 males, the fathers of these cubs is now 1. It was quite interesting. Not so long ago, they went into the very far northern parts of the reserve, and the 2 male lions in the north of the reserve got a hold of the one and actually killed him. One of the guides up there found his carcass, which is incredibly sad, but that's the way it goes out here, and for a male lion, especially in the wild, that's often how things end up going for them, fighting for territories and exploring like that. So the father of these youngsters has his work cut out for him now, being on his own, and the fact that they bounce between two prides, or dominate two prides. If those north males come down into the southern parts of this reserve, he's in trouble. There's one of the older youngsters now, that's one of the ones of three, all females, who's just joined up, and let's see if there's not, yeah, that's mom. Far more tolerant of her youngsters than the younger nieces and nephews who you see littered here before us, but you can see she's in and out of consciousness there, fast asleep, as lions do for the majority of their time. 18 to 20 hours of the day, they will be splayed out like they are now, fast asleep. That one has a bit of a chew toy. It looks like a leg of that zebra that you see it playing with. Second to right there. Very, very, very white underbellies, and that's often what you see from a distance. Eric, you commenting saying those full bellies are ridiculous. They are. It looks like it needs to be poked with something to ease it. It's so full. But really good for them. They obviously don't know when their next meal is going to be, so they make the most of what they've got. And that's why you see them with those ridiculously full bellies. And panting really, really hard as well, just trying to digest that food. And I said just now, we're not too far from a watering hole. More than likely they'll head there to have a lap of water, try and help digest that food, and then maybe find a nice shady spot to rest for the heat of the day. And very content lions that you see there. Just paws and bellies in the air. And just that contrast now with that one that's busy chewing on the leg, how well camouflaged it is in this grass compared to the rest in white. I'm going to spend a little bit more time with them to see if they do eventually get up and head towards water. But otherwise we're going to head off to another one of our locations.
All right, everybody, so we have left those lions. I think for the most part they're going to be sleeping. They might have to move, of course, when the sun progresses, or maybe late morning. We'll come back and then get into the sighting, see if there's any changes and all to that. So you can see me weirdly looking around. So yesterday in the evening, after the end of show, on our way back to camp, we bumped into those three pack members, and they were headed north along this road. So I just want to see if maybe we'll be able to find tracks, or find where they could have gone, or see if we can find anything else. And then maybe head down to Aslara Dam, go for a look, see what could be there or what could not be there, and all that stuff. So it looks like a promising morning today. It's a nice start with the lions. It's nice to get to find them that close. So hopefully we get to keep was just having a look there. Looks like there has been a lot of hyena tracks on the road. I would assume that they were going back towards where that buffalo carcass was last night.
Welcome back, everyone, and here we've got a hole in the ground. Many creatures like to live in holes in the ground, as it is a very suitable environment for keeping things regulated sort of temperature. It doesn't get too cold, doesn't get too hot. But you'll notice that this hole over here is pretty decent, larger than my thumb, and around it's quite dirty, all of this sort of sand and sediment. But what's interesting is have a look at this. It is all stuck together. It's all web. All of this is web filled with dirt, which means this is a baboon spider that has done some spring cleaning. All of this is web. Interesting. You often find baboon spider holes with sort of web encapsulating inside. Sometimes they'll close the lid when the female is unoccupied or preoccupied with something. But now it's obviously cleaned out. The hole probably gets quite full of all of this stuff, and then all that dirt and sediment has been removed and dumped outside. I don't think I've ever seen such a mess or such an accumulation of web outside of a baboon spider's hole before. And obviously not a solifuge, because solifuges don't have true silk glands. All web. So yes, they do drag the roads, and they are maintaining the roads here for tracks and for management. And it's possible that dragging over here once or twice pushed a fair amount of dirt in there, and the silk web caught it all, and so she's gone and disposed of it all outside. Very nice to see. Very good example of creatures using the landscape, and it is against the law to try and get these fellows out of their holes and try to catch them. The baboon spider is very much like that of a tarantula, and for some reason people like to keep them as pets. And so there is actually legislation in South Africa with regards to harvesting or catching baboon spiders, and they need to be left in the landscape. When they are born or hatched, given a little cutting tooth on their face, which allows them to dig a hole suitable for them. And so by removing them from a hole, it's very unlikely they'll be able to create another hole as well. Debbie, well, all spiders create web. They might not use it specifically for catching, but this individual uses it for lining the hole, for keeping ants out, maybe sort of little pests out. But all spiders are capable of producing web, but these mygalomorphs, the ground nesting or ground moving spiders, don't use their web as a way of catching food. They physically catch it themselves. But I suppose if I had the ability to weave web, I'd also throw it all over the place. Why not? You know, all over the walls, give it that very gothic sort of feel. But you'll often have the web all the way up and down on the side. It probably actually prevents a lot of the dirt and dust from falling in, because as you can see, this web has caught an enormous amount of dirt. So it might actually help with the cleanup. Kind of like using one of those rollers when you roll on your body or on your clothes to get pet fur off. Maybe the web works quite well for preventing too much sort of dirt and accumulation of mess going inside. And when you do clean up, it's a much easier job, as you can see over here. Otherwise, I'm not actually sure. But we're going to carry on from a hole of a very small predator to the largest on the landscape.
Welcome back to Phinda, everybody. I don't know if you saw that young lion flop back down now. I think that's going to be how the majority of the day goes for them. Reshuffling and just trying to get comfortable with those full bellies there. You see that one that I spoke about has just rolled over. Struggling to get comfortable. But very interesting to watch lions like this that are so full, especially the youngsters who are maybe not quite as experienced as the older lionesses or their moms, who will rest properly. They'll get comfortable and then almost sleep dead. Whereas the youngsters will be awake if, they hear something, smell something, awake, up, down, constantly more alert, just, taking everything in at such a young age. Heading back to this should be interesting because it was one of the youngsters that got disciplined earlier by that older lioness as it heads back to the carcass. If you see their ears prick back, you'll know they're upset. So let's watch the behavior of that one in picture. She was the one who was dishing the discipline out a little bit earlier on, and see just how tolerant she is of these youngsters now, because I think it's her 3 youngsters who are now feeding on what's left of that zebra. But also in and out of consciousness at the moment. Also very alert, like we said, like the youngsters who struggle to get proper sleep. She too is just watching what's going on at the dinner table, or should I say the breakfast buffet this morning, with the rest, that very white fluffy belly that you see there in picture. And they too, even though they're siblings, when there's not much meat left there, they too will dish it out to one another, often slap each other with their paws, who at that age are already really big, and they can do some serious damage to one another. And that's often how they get cuts and nicks on their faces, is from exactly that. Another mouth that's gone back to that zebra. Bush Baby asking if carnivores or other animals get sick because of worms. Interesting question. It's something almost like domestic animals that suffer from worms and the likes. But there are a variety of parasites that would affect them. Not just worms, but you often see them with quite a few ticks on them. That's often why they groom one another, especially around their ears, that softer skin that they latch onto. And the best way to sort of pick that up is from their scat. But when you see really old lions, sometimes are just skin and bones. Sometimes they get TB. A lot of the lions higher up, closer to where rulers, get to TB. Not sure if you can hear that purple-crested taraka in the background. We're going to send you off to Lauren at a watering hole.
We have made it down to Chitwa Dam. I don't have much feeling in my fingers, but that's okay. Because what we have in front of us is very beautiful. It's still extremely misty. The hippos are chilling. The swallows are flying. And the fishy goes in his normal home when the dead knobthorn. So we're just going to take a moment to sit here, admire the dam, and Davi can work his magic. They're both here now, the two of them. Okay, we're going to sit here and definitely enjoy this a little bit longer, but we're going to send you guys over to Rule.
Alright guys, so looks like we've just managed to find the Birmingham young male. He is apparently walking in the opposite direction of the Birmingham Pride. So our idea was to also go up towards Clara Dam, and you can see there he just stopped for a toilet break, and I think he's about to cross the Timbawatu River and head down to the northern bank of the riverbed. I think we're going to follow him and see where he goes. And you can see how he just disappears in there. So we can't see him now. I'm also going to try and maybe go forward. Hopefully we'll get him crossing the riverbed, and then we'll be able to keep up with him to the other side. Maybe this guy might be going for a drink finally. You can see he is crossing that riverbed. It's also interesting to see which way he goes from there. If he goes left, right, or keeps going straight. And I can see he's already looking to the right. But surprisingly, it looks like his stomach is full. I'm not sure if you guys can see that properly. Every time he moves, if you look at his stomach, it looks full. Maybe he could have also got to the carcass a bit late last night because his tracks were coming from that direction, and managed to get himself some little bits and pieces of whatever was left. So it does look like he is crossing.
Founded in 1973, the Endangered Wildlife Trust has consistently and effectively worked towards achieving our conservation legacy. Contribute to this legacy by visiting EWT's Get Wild eShop and purchase products with a purpose.
We got there, he had probably moved a couple of hundred meters down the river and was about 10 meters from this causeway. So I radioed the lodge quickly and just asked them to bring a land cruiser around and some tow straps. So we thought we were going to try be heroes and save this giraffe. And now a big bull, probably over a ton. He's a big unit. Got the tow strap one side of the giraffe and managed to get it around him with the boat, and the other edge of the tow strap obviously back onto the bank. So we made this U around him because he was lying quite close to the bank. And yeah, we put that Land Cruiser in low range, and we just gave it hell and pulled that giraffe, and the tow strap slipped up, and we thought, oh no, it's going to slip off the top of the head, and it caught on his Aussie cones at the top. And that last 10 meters pulled him out onto the bank, and he battled. He was obviously quite weak and all that.
Looks like it's a very difficult climb because every time it tries to climb, the ground is breaking, so it slides down. But it's the only one. Look at that. That is a call of desperation with a cub. It's like, what are you doing, mommy? Oops. Oof.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Delivering 6 hours of HD wildlife content live every day is no small feat. It's a massive team effort, and we all rely on one another. Cam ops have a bit of work to do in the morning, up nice and early, get all the checks out of the way, and make sure we're ready to go live. Helping others fall in love with nature brings meaning to what I do. It's also a lot of fun.
All right, so we still have this Birmingham male. He is walking straight north, and I've got a good feeling that maybe he's going down towards Clara Dam. It's quite a tight section where we are. It's quite thick on either side. So we'll just try and wait for that one opportunity where we can loop around him or try and get a visual of him and stuff like that. So also hoping that maybe when he gets to Clara Dam, we'll have enough space to get to view him. But he is an impressive young male, a very impressive young male. If you look at the way he's walking, you can see that his hind leg has got a limp. So that is from one of the permanent injuries that the Ross males have managed to give this young male. He's about 5 and a bit now, and he's been fighting with the Ross males for the past almost 3 years or so. And it looks like they finally managed to get the better end or the better half, because that looks like a permanent injury. So what you're looking at there, Gooks, is also part of the mane that's growing on his elbows. And that fur is just part of the mane in some males, and of course this is with genetics. It comes out and it covers that whole part. And I'm guessing you can see when the line settles down, that becomes cushioned at that elbow there where the bone is. So that helps. That's also the purpose of the whole mane. It is to just reduce impact when these lions are fighting and all that. So that's the mane that you see on the elbow there. Well, maybe we'll finally get to see a lion today drinking water. I have my fingers crossed that he will get to Clara Dam, and on the road that he's on, I am pretty confident that he's headed straight towards Clara Dam. However, there is a road that if he takes that, it's got a huge cut on it, like a drainage line, so we're not using that road anymore. So if he takes that road and heads on it, we might have to leave him and then loop around and see if we'll be able to get another view of him and all that. but hopefully he sticks on the road that we can drive and do that. It's impressive how he's managed to withstand the raw smells, paws and claws for 3 years. So we'll follow him. Maybe when he gets to the dam, we'll show you guys. For now, we'll send you guys over to Steve in Pridelands.
Well, good luck, Rule. Hopefully your lion goes for a drink. We feel like being a little bit creative this morning, and we've got some tracks here. I'm going to try and do something quite interesting for you. Let's see. Okay, so over here, we've got tracks of a large animal. There's the front hoof and the back foot. Steps on top, and it is the track of a kudu. There's the right leg. No, sorry, that's the left. And then over here is the right. And over there is the left again. Okay, so now by working out, because this animal is stepping on their feet, we can actually work out shoulder height, which is from... So we're going to go left all the way back to left again. That'll give us shoulder height. So let's measure that. Okay, so shoulder height is this little bit of my stick plus a full length of my stick. Oh no, this is going to work out to be in the outside the widget. Okay, we're going to have to do it right, aren't we? Okay, here is the shoulder height of a kudu. Okay, so what we're going to do is just draw a gentle box quickly to get you an idea. Where's that other one? There. A square. That's why the kudu is able to step on their front foot, because they are actually square. Okay, but now obviously a kudu's got a little bit of a rounded back. The rump comes to about there. And then that is the back leg. Okay, looks all right so far. Front leg comes up at an angle. Okay, well, it seems like we're dipping with signal, so we're going to send you over to Matt.
Welcome back, everybody. I'd love to know just how many of you can spot those black tips behind the ears of that lioness that Glenn has framed up for us in the middle of the picture. They've started to walk away slowly from that zebra carcass. And now we've got a lovely view of that watering hole in front of us as well, which I thought that they might head to at some stage for a lap of water. I think today is going to be a really pleasant day once it starts to warm up a bit. So I can't imagine that these lions are going to stay in these open areas the entire day. They might find a sheltered spot in one of the thicker areas around them, or even close to that water, which I can imagine is quite chilly this morning, to rest those full bellies off. We heard a couple of impalas alarming earlier on, which got the attention of most of these lions, and I can imagine that's why they got up and walked in the direction that they did. But we went and had a look. They lost interest in whatever it was. I didn't see any signs of any other predators, be it leopard or cheetah or the likes. And they've now all settled back down amazing how well camouflaged they are and just how much those black tips of their ears stick out in this grass. Now in the height of winter, when it all starts to keel over and lose its nutritional value, it becomes like camo practice for these lions. Really, really well hidden, and when they're lying flat, you probably drive straight past because they are exactly the same color as this grass. And now behind us are some kudu barking, that really, really deep bark, much like that of a dog. And I wonder if that's not whatever it was that those impalas were alarming, that's just moved off in the opposite direction to us. There are a number of steep drainage lines there which provide good areas for things like nyalas to hang around, that predators like leopard often find themselves in as well. So just lending an ear here behind us to see if there's anything more that was going on, but it seems to have gone quiet now. So yeah, those kudu and impala could very well have been alarming at the same predator, which, just being where it is, very likely to be something like a leopard. I'm going to stick around here a little bit longer this morning to see if these lions don't get up and move a little bit more. Otherwise we'll go in search of maybe a couple of elephants, but we're going to send you off to another location.
Out of one property and heading into another. Yeah, we got very lucky this morning, I'm afraid. Not many tracks, not many alarm calls, no signs of elephants, no signs of scavengers or birds of prey, but that's okay. There's plenty more roads to check. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Check the roads for track, check the airs, try and use your nostrils. I know it's a little bit cold these days, to see if you can smell anything. Switch off your engine, see if you can hear anything. And try and pick up on signs of what's happening in the bush. You've got to be very hyper-aware, hypersensitive out here. Use all your senses, not just your eyes. Sensitive out here. Use all your senses. The cameramen are positioned at a slightly different height from us, and he wants to check something. Very often your cameraman will actually spot animals for you, so we're just having a little bit of a look along this road.
Not this time, sorry. Not this time.
Not this time. Nice try, though. Sometimes we think it's a log and it's a lion. Sometimes we think it's a lion and it's a log. One of these things. One of these things. Your eyes will play tricks on you. If you're looking for a leopard, you will see leopards everywhere. But I enjoy sunrise safari. I really, really love a sunrise because there's been a whole night of activity that you've got to start piecing together, like a jigsaw. A very difficult jigsaw at that. Okay, we're going to keep bumbling on, and hopefully very soon we're going to get lucky.
We are still trying to keep up with this young male. He's still headed steadily north. He just went off the road in a easterly direction. So I'm hoping that we can keep up. There is, however, a drainage line that might be difficult to cross. I am going to try and find a place where we can cross it and then see if we will be able to go onto the other side. But hopefully where he crosses, there will be a very easy access for us to cross. He is still on our left-hand side. I can still see him for now. So hopefully it stays that way. Lincoln, a Cutline is a boundary road, but here he's going to cross a small riverbed, which we call a drainage line. So it's quite steep, and it might be a bit difficult for us to cross on the vehicle, but there is a vehicle on the other side waiting there for us to let them know where exactly does he cross, so that they can try and find him from that side. So hopefully if he crosses in an area where it's not easy for us, we'll contact the other guys on that side and see if they can find him again. You can see he's still steadily walking north, and I've got a very good feeling, and I'm pretty confident that he is headed down back towards Clara Dam. We just have to be patient enough to be able to get there with him. Hopefully we get to see him drinking, which would be fantastic. Oh, look at that. He's just laid down. Looks like he's just laid down and sat down. I'm not sure if this could be where he decides to settle for the day, or is he going to get up again to move. So you're asking why is he not with the rest of the Pride? So he wasn't there yesterday while the Pride was feeding. I think somehow, somewhere the night before, the Pride could have split up, and he could have maybe went to the carcass after they had left. And also the Rossmells don't really want him in the Pride. They've been trying to kick him out of the Pride for the past 3 years. So I've seen sometimes he keeps his distance when the Rossmells are with the Pride, and then he sometimes joins. And I've also seen him there with the Rossmells there. So he's not part of the Rossmells, and he's not the offspring of the Rossmells, which makes it interesting because male lions kill other cubs that are not of their own, and they've been trying to kill him since he was 1.5 years, and they have not been successful up until now, where he's about 5 years and a bit. So he's learned to keep himself isolated, and he's survived for the past 3 years just like that. Copy that. Alright, we'll stick around here and then see if this male will move at all. Maybe head down back towards the dam as we were hoping. And then for now, we'll send you guys over to Phinda.
Welcome back, everybody. Have a look at what has changed here in Phinda. We've got a couple of the members of this Pride of Lions that have come down for a lap of water, like we mentioned earlier, them coming to drink just to help digest that food. And that's exactly what's going on here that you see, and they will just keep going. Very wary of the water as well, these lions. Initially, you see how nervous this one is here as it comes down. Things like crocodiles. I'm not sure if you saw that video not so long ago with Glenn, who sits behind me, him and Busani, of the cheetah and the crocodile here on Phinda. But just making sure that there are no threats to them here. Just keep quiet there for you to hear them lapping up this water, much like dogs, the way they drink, and cats with their tongues curled up backwards just to try and lap up the water. Oh, it looks like this one's being stalked by its sibling there coming up and over the hill. Let's have a look at this, might give it a fright. There it is in picture, trying to be as quiet as can be, but I'm pretty sure this youngster here drinking is well aware of what's going on behind it. Yep, it's blown its cover. Amazing. These are the three youngsters who are about 2 years old. Triple G commenting on how lovely this sighting is. Yeah, absolutely. You can hear the Egyptian geese back behind us, who I don't think are going to land here anymore now that these lions are here. After they've had a drink, it would have been amazing to have seen, I think there are 10 members of this Pride of Lions here, all 10 coming down to drink, but lovely with their reflections in the water. A little bit of wind this morning. Oh, and there they lie down. And a really, really nice spot for them to spend the majority of the day. Nice and cool here at this watering hole. There you can see the very lethargic way they're getting down because of those full bellies. And then the youngster, how well camouflaged is that youngster behind the one on the left-hand side there? And now as this wind starts to pick up, very common for the month of August to be very windy. It's a sign of a good season to come. And oh, the Egyptian geese flying overhead now as well, with these lions doing a little bit of bird watching. But nice and sheltered in the same breath from wind down here in this lower area at the water's edge. Really, really nice and cool for them as well to lie down and do what lions do best, be fast asleep. for the most part. There's the third now joining in. I wouldn't be surprised if it flops down in the same spot as well. An amazing picture of them with their reflections here this morning. We've been spoiled to have such active lions at that, feeding, drinking and playing with one another like you saw. I heard some more squabbles like we did, or like we saw earlier with that lioness who was disciplining one of the really small youngsters from that carcass. So I can't imagine there to be much left at all there now, or probably all maybe join these three, because it's very unusual for just the three of them to have left the older lionesses or their mum. So if they don't come here and join these three, I'm sure they'll head back to where mom is. But now at the age where they can actually start getting involved with the hunting. When the lionesses get up and go off, and they've picked up on a lot of their behavior already, they'll branch off to the side and, you know, try and loop around whatever it is that they're hunting to chase towards one another, to try and better their odds of it being a successful hunt. And you're very much at the age where they can start getting involved. I'm going to sit here patiently and see if the rest of the pride doesn't come down for a drink this morning.
The scrap here collected a dry grass, put it next to the waterhole as the hippo walks down during the warm of the day to drink the water. When the hippo arrives, he saw quite a very nice grass, an area not to resist to rest. And when the hippo went down to drink the water, and when he finished the water, he just lied down on the grass. And then, that was the opportunity of the scrappy. You know what? Today is my day to pay the revenge.
Okay, there's another big male coming in from our left here. Another big male, look at this. This is the one. Now you're going to see sparks fly, guys. Guys, it doesn't get better than this, eh? Yes, unbelievable. Africa, I love you, eh?
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Well, it looks like he's still settled down here. He's busy grooming himself. And while we're sitting here a bit earlier on, just heard some hippos. We're not that far from the dam, and I can see the direction that he's looking at. Right now, I'm still hoping that he'll get up to move, maybe whilst taking a rest. Such a very beautiful male this one turned out to be. He's quite a big male. Wolf, you're asking if there is an advantage of a lion's white belly. So, I'm not entirely sure if there might be multiple or so to say, a lot of them. But when a lion is full-bellied and heavily breathing and panting, you'd see most times they would lay down on their back and expose that white outside. And that helps them to digest a lot quicker because of the breeze that will be getting underneath there and the heat going through there, as white would get a lot more heat on it. But otherwise, I don't think there's much advantage to them having a white belly. If you look on his hip there, it looks like he's got a fresh open wound close to his tail, which it still looks like it has bits of blood around it. It also looks like a claw. I'm not sure what could have happened, but it could have been in a fight with either the Ross males last night as well, because his stomach looks full. And that could mean that maybe he also showed up at the carcass while the lions were still there. Maybe fought his way to be able to get a meal. It looks like he's settling down. Oh, sounds like Matt has got the Pride on the move, so we'll send you guys over to him while we watch this one and hoping that he'll also get up and move.
Welcome back, everybody, to andBeyond Phinda. These lions have moved slightly further away, now lying in the road. And not surprising, you often come across animals in the early hours of the morning doing exactly that, lying out in the open on the road, where it's maybe a little bit warmer if the grass in the surrounding area is wet from dew in the mornings. Mouths open, all panting relatively heavily because they're also full. On the right-hand side, one of the older lions is bringing up the rear slowly. And maybe slowly but surely we might start seeing a few more faces emerging out of those areas down below. There's still those 4 youngsters, part of this pride, that might come up and join the rest of the pride. But a beautiful setting down here in the south. The vistas are really incredible, with the mountains in the distance. It's almost like something out of the Serengeti or the Masai Mara, in lovely open plains, and what you would imagine the Olololo escarpment to be on the hillsides in that neck of the woods. But here, the lovely undulations in the south. You can hear the zebras calling in the background. Oh, this older lioness is being stalked, and hear them greeting one another. I'm quite tolerant of the playful behavior. And that little burst of energy has now made it extremely tired, by the looks of things, with that mouth open, panting like that. I wonder where Mom's going to end up. I mentioned those impalas alarming earlier. That was just back behind us off to our left-hand side. Now, as Mom and two of the three youngsters get up and walk away, you can see just how big she is, slightly darker in complexion as well. The youngsters still have those prominent spots on their legs and their bellies. Mom's, being quite a lot older, have faded quite a bit as they walk past us. Have a look at those muscles in Mom's front shoulders. I think they've just found a lovely shady patch here off to our left. And if they're hidden here, I'm afraid that's going to be them for the day. And I don't think we'll be able to keep up with them through there. Really, really thick vegetation, but the perfect place for them to rest. No. That's exactly where they're going to settle for the morning, I think. Melanie, you're commenting on how beautiful it is. Absolutely. There's nothing better than spending time with lions that are at least up and active and walking around as much as these ones are. Big yawn from this youngster here in front of us. That's often always good signs with them if you are sitting with them lying flat, that they're going to get up and get active. But have a look at this scene. Everybody. Very, very curious, the youngsters, as another vehicle passes by. And yeah, so when you are, the next time you are on safari, if you're sitting with lions that are sleeping, good to just watch them. If they do start yawning and grooming one another, that yawn, the shock of oxygen to the brain, often means that they'll get up and start moving. So if it looks like they're doing nothing, always good to just spend that 5 minutes extra to see if they do get up and move about. Still really alert, and this is how this particular pride of lions will often, or has for the past couple of months, been fragmented. You'll find this mom and her 3 youngsters in one spot, the other mom and 4 youngsters in another. But now as they get up and move, maybe the rest are just too small to keep up with these ones who are walking, or who can walk particularly far distances in search of food. But now that they've got such full bellies, that there's no need for them to walk really far. It might be worth going back to where that zebra was to see what the others are up to, because I think there are still 6 lions there, probably lying flat and lazy. We saw them with their legs up, splayed out on the grass. We called it much like a crime scene. Bernie Lulu commenting, saying how white their bellies are. They are really, really white in comparison to the top half of their bodies. Very much two tones of colour. And this one, the top half being that tawny colour, helps them remain concealed as they are hunting in this long grass that's now very much the same colour as them. But their bellies are really, really white, and that's often when you drive past something that, you know, sticks out from the rest, and is one way of being able to find them, is those really, really white bellies. Much like that of their chins and just below their nose, that white part of their face. But in and out of consciousness, this youngster resting that full belly off. They haven't moved too far from the rest of the lions, and you can see just exhausted. The rest have just lay flat.
We're just standing by a pen. Finding it very difficult to find animals today, but sometimes you just sit by a pan.
How many vehicles are on Waterhole?
You can watch the birds that come down to drink, and also just listen for the sounds. You never know, something might pop out for a drink. So we're just going to sit here and listen for a moment to hear if anything's around. Look at those birds, the little canaries, getting ready for their day ahead.
To be honest, it doesn't really look like he's planning on moving anytime soon. I think we'll spend a few more minutes and see if he does change his mind. If not, we will move on and see what else we can find this morning for you guys. It was very nice to get to watch him walking along the road and follow him, and just to see how far he has walked. Moondust, asking who or which were the dominant males of the Birmingham Pride before the Ross males were here. And in short, that is who the father of this sub-adult male or young male lion were. So the Birmingham Pride had the Western males before the Ross males came here. And it was a coalition of 3 lions. It was a coalition of 5 that took the territory away from the Paiwan males, which was a coalition of 3. And those 5 males later then split up. And then we started seeing 3 of them in the property as well. And when the Ross males actually moved in 2017 December, one of the Western males was on a carcass. And they had a fight. No, it was the Ross males on a carcass. They just chased the Birmingham out of that kill. And when they chased them out, they started feeding, and one of the Western males started roaring from a distance. And those 2 Ross males got up and started running away. And about a few hundred meters, they stopped and listened and realized that it was only one male calling. So instead of running away, they actually turned around and ran straight towards where that male was calling from. And they got into a fight with him, and he ran straight south and straight out of our property. I mean, at that point, we all thought, this is the time where that male goes out and gets all his other brothers to come back and kick the Ross males out of this territory and then show them who's boss, and it never happened. And I'm thinking also because the Birmingham at that time had already split into small groups, and I think these males had also moved to the different parts with these small groups. We've got one group that moved southeast that we completely stopped seeing, and there's another group, which is the Birmingham Breakaway, that moved south and west to the western side of our reserve, and we still get to see them at least every now and again. But those were the males that were here. So this is the last offspring of the Western males that were the dominant males within the Birmingham Pride before the Ross males came to take over this territory. And before they left, they had a litter of about 9 in 2016. And out of the 9, only 2 have survived, which is him and his sister, who is the mother of those 2 one-year-old cubs that were born last year, April. 6 of those 7 that died of mange, and one of them was caught in a conflict between the lions while they were feeding. So that fighting that happened, one of the cubs might have got a blow in a wrong spot and then didn't make it. Nazreen, you are looking at, I think for me, is a very big lion. For a 5-year-old male, he's already similar sized as the Ross males, which are even maybe twice his age.
Kate Gilman-Williams is an 11-year-old girl from Austin, Texas, and we think she's amazing. At only 7 years of age, Kate went on safari and since then has become part of a new generation of kids who are fighting for animals. She has written a book, offered extensive support for a number of conservation projects, and recently teamed up with Microsoft to start a club. Kate believes that advocacy has no age limit, and that if she waits until she's an adult, then it may be too late. Join Kate, who's travelled from Texas to sit with Lauren at the fire to discuss her work and how her generation can become part of the solution.
It's day one of the annual South African Guide of the Year competition, and our first foot into this competition this morning is all about tracks and signs.
We're going to call you in one at a time. Just look at it, the information will be there.
Our 5 guides have been tasked by the judges at figuring out who is what is who, and where they go in the bush.
It's either Franklin or guinea fowl, but because of the volume of other deposits in the area, we went with guinea fowl.
Detailing the surrounding that you need to look out for tracks. The details is very important.
I've seen something I've never seen here before. Look at these cubs. One is crossing the river. It's being washed away, unfortunately, but I'm sure the mother is going to save her. Look at that. How beautiful. Look at that. One crossing, 2 to go. How cool is this?
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Welcome back to Phinda, everyone. Very little has changed here. These lions all very much fast asleep now as that sun is starting to creep a little bit higher. We've got a few more members also, what looks like on our right-hand side, joining us as well, or at least one of the older lionesses. It looks like this youngster here has caught wind of that on the opposite side of us. Slowly but surely, and it's the mom with the 4 youngsters, which is really exciting. Glad they are on their way to join us this morning. That confirms then that there's nothing left at the zebra. They've obviously made short work of that. In less than 24 hours, completely devoured every last bit. And you can see the 4 youngsters bringing up the rear at the back now, and I'm sure mom's putting her head to the ground, just smelling where these 4 on our left have gone to. She'll probably walk straight up to the road and then across to where they are all being observed by the lions here on our left. We spoke of earlier how the underbellies stick out so much, and that's exactly what you see walking through here, that contrast against this very brown grass at the moment. White bits of her neck and her underbelly and the bits of her legs as well that stick out so much there. I think she's just seen the rest of them, and one by one behind her are the 4 youngsters, and she's going to walk up on the road and probably plunk herself down with the rest of the pride. Amazing just how quiet they are as they walk along the road here, you'll see this lioness almost rolls her feet as she walks. Karen, very interesting question. You're asking if when they eat and they are as full as they are, if it puts strain on their heart. I can imagine that their hearts do beat a little bit faster with such full bellies, but nothing that would, put them at a disadvantage or under a serious condition. Have a look at this lot now, greeting one another here on the left. I'm going to keep quiet for a couple of seconds just for you to listen to them as they greet one another. I laugh just because of how fat these 4 youngsters are. So interesting to see how the mom of the 3 got up and walked a little bit away from the mom of the 4, keeping their distance. And you see that one baring her teeth at the back there. She's not too happy with the arrivals this morning at her resting place. But then calm will be restored. You see how she's pricked her ears back as well, which shows that she's not too impressed with the situation. But I'm sure she'll relax again now that everyone's lying down and go back asleep. A little bit of grooming going on from that youngster who's just emerged from the zebra. There might be some remnants of that on its fur. It's just cleaning. Now, almost like the evolution of them from small to big, to see those really small ones around a year old, the others, the 3 older ones who are about 2 years or just under 2 years old, and then the 2 moms who are quite a bit older than them. Amazing the size difference, but for such small lions as well, their paws are massive. That one climbing over mom now. Really, really interesting just to see their behavior towards one another this morning, and just to see them again active like that, from eating to squabbling, getting up, drinking, walking away. I wonder if the 5 of them also didn't have a lap of water before they came up here, just to help digest that food. But this, I'm sure, is where they're going to spend the rest of their day, in that shady patch. Maybe venture a little bit further back when that sun starts to rise a little bit more. That is interesting. Everyone jumped to attention as well after that snarl. Not quite sure what it was for or who it was aimed at. But peace has been restored yet again. See the mom lying with her back to us, also grooming the tools of the trade, maybe also bits and pieces of that zebra in between her toes that she's grooming now. I wonder where this lioness is gonna, no, just a little bit further away. Obviously enjoys her time alone and flopping back down to rest. But after that little bit of grooming, I'm sure they'll all flop back down and catch up on some much needed sleep. We're going to send you off to Lauren at a watering hole this morning.
Wow, it sounds like a very lion-tastic morning. We have had no luck on our side. Really, Djuma is extremely quiet. Or I'm not driving the right roads. But we have made our way to Gowrie Dam. It's sort of a core dam in terms of its location. It's very central, Djuma. More on the northern side, but it's still quite central. Whereas Twin Dams and Treehouse are right on the southern boundary. So it's a good dam to check for movement of animals coming in or leaving from the north. It's also very good for birding. And of course you've got the resident hippo. Wouldn't be a dam without a resident hippo. I think we're going to bumble around quarantine soon and see if we might eventually pick up on signs of something up there. We're sitting at another water body, just listening, looking. All the birds are very active right now. So we are just going to sit here, watch all the birds, listen to all the sounds, and just thoroughly enjoy the morning now that the sun is a little bit higher and we're getting warmer. Isn't it so peaceful? Sometimes when you really can't find anything else, the best thing to do is to come by a dam and just sit and listen.
amazing it is, guys, to see that. We've been fortunate to actually get another glimpse of the Ngala female and her youngsters. And down there we have one of the youngsters, and you can see that one cub, it looks like he's picking up something there. It's because up the tree there is a carcass that the other two, the mother and the other youngster, are up there feeding. It's quite a tight spot where they are in, and it's a little bit tricky to see them, but I'm sure you can see the legs hanging down there of an impala, while the other cub peeking through to have a look at what's happening. Fascinating to get to see these young ones playing around. I mean, also the mother, big well done to her. A few days, not necessarily a few days, I think 2 days ago, she was on another impala carcass with both her youngsters. So she's done very, very well to have managed to secure another carcass this quickly up a tree. And I'm sure you guys might have seen that stomach of that young cub. It's very full. No wonder it's being so energetic, playing around and jumping up and down and on the tree. And I think she's also playing with the leg of that impala carcass that's been hanging from the branches. You can see that one there is just picking or nibbling on whatever is falling down. Benson, you're asking what are the chances of these cubs surviving? The odds at this moment are still 50-50. And it's difficult to say that they will survive or that they will not survive. And also because decision-making from the parent or the cubs, sometimes when they're left alone, the mother doesn't really know what's happening behind. So anything could happen. Oh, there she is. You get to see her now. So the chances are still 50-50. And I mean, now that they're able to climb up a tree, as we see there, it's easier for them at any given sign of danger for them to easily climb up to the safety of the trees. Only problem might be if it is other leopards that have just moved into the area. Looks like the female is plucking the fur off the skin there. I'm sure maybe trying to make room, space to try and feed again. Oh, dear watcher, you asking if the cubs ever fall off the trees? Sometimes, yes. And I have seen that with leopard cubs falling from the tree, which is hard to believe, as they hold the skills and the necessary tools to be able to climb up and down the trees. But sometimes they do fall down the tree, maybe miss a step, and all that. All right, I think let's send you guys to Phinda for now, and then we'll see if we'll have an opportunity to view these animals again.
Welcome back to Phinda, everybody. From leopard cubs to two relatively small hyena pups here at this very elaborate, intricate network of tunnels or den sites for these hyenas here on andBeyond Phinda. These two just soaking up some sun this morning. Has been a relatively chilly morning with the wind, but these two fast asleep, catching some sun, trying to warm up before they, I'm sure, will disappear underground for the day at some stage. But lovely to catch them out. The adults, not too sure where they are, but the youngsters are not too far from home or the safety of the burrow where they'll disappear to if anything were to come along. But these little hyenas look like grizzly bears. If they stand up, you'll see them still very much black in color. They've started developing some spots and some color in their coats around the age of roughly around 3 months old, these two. And there has been a third pup that we've seen out and about as well, who is not here at the moment, but maybe just underground, doesn't need to come up for some sun this morning. There are numerous entrances to these tunnels underground. There's at least 2 here off to our right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in and around where they are. A couple in front of us that they will all use to sleep and stay safe, especially under the cover of darkness. Typically the adults will bring them out in the early hours of the evening when it's still light. They'll have a bit of a suckle or a feed, play around, run around, explore their environment, and then disappear underground when the adults go off to hunt or to forage under the cover of darkness. Incredibly cute at such a young age. These two really, really big ears. Moondas, you're asking if this clan has a name. They do not. I think our habitat team refers to them as the South clan, or the clan of the south of Phinda. And then there's another one up in the north that we know of. Their den, I think, is in the sand forest, so not somewhere that we can get to. But yeah, a lot of the time the guides up there, you would have been introduced to 2 new guides recently, Don and Dean, who will hopefully be showing you some of them in the months to come. Dotted in and around these Tamboti thickets, I know guys have seen black rhino in here. Black rhino obviously love Tambotis. They've been seen here, been sitting here, and I've seen warthogs running out. They obviously use the underground tunnels at different times. Hyenas will be out during the night and warthogs will be inside under the cover of darkness, and then wake up and leave in the early hours. So there could very well be other creatures that are inhabiting these holes at the same time, and often excavated first or initially by things like aardvark, and then warthog and the likes will come and dig more to then use as homes. And this particular site is really nice and sheltered from the wind. And there's some really interesting smells that are coming from this area as well. If I could send you a little box of something to open so you could smell what's going on. It's very almost rancid smell. And the adults will bring carcasses back for the youngsters to feed on, get the best of both worlds. They'll still be suckling at this age, and then trying their mouths at bits and pieces of food that the adults bring back. So you can only imagine the smell here where we are. But yeah, so am I. And often the case where we come here and it's deserted, there's nobody home, or they could be underground or, just out and about foraging with the youngsters underground. So to come here and to see them is actually really exciting. So I'm glad you all at home are enjoying this. These two are having a very lazy start to their Wednesday. They look so content, fast asleep, much like those lions that we saw earlier. Very, very red soil, very iron-rich soil. That's why it is the color that it is, and you can see their paws. Also, it looks like someone's painted the underside of them with a coat of red paint. And that's another way of telling whether or not something is active, like these dens, as if it's bare, like that soil where they are now. Very, very bare. There's not much leaf litter around there, nice and clear, which is often a sign of an active den. As it gets later and later this morning, they'll be quite nice and warm, and then probably head underground to sleep for the majority of the day. Also very alert. Those huge ears of theirs are really good hearing, sense of smell. With the wind gusting like this, if they smell something interesting, they might prick their heads up and see what it is, or try and gauge what's going on around them. But they will never venture too far away from the safety of the underground tunnel, especially when the adults are not around. And it would be nice to compare the sizes of them and adults if they stood up at any stage, but they look too comfortable to stand up this morning, I'm afraid. And as I say that, one of them lifts their head up and straight back down again. What I might do is just leave the two of them in peace this morning and carry on to see if we can't find anything else for you. Having a look now at that one on the right. Every so often they open their eyes. They've got the most piercing soft eyes, very dark eyes, but when the light catches them, very, very cute faces, cute and innocent at such a young age. Yeah, I'm going to leave these two for the morning to catch up on some Zeds and enjoy the sun, and we'll set off to see what else we can find this morning.
One thing that WildEarth strives to achieve is to connect kids with our natural world. One person who agrees with this is Kate, an 11-year-old girl who founded Kids Can Save Animals to help inspire her generation to help mend the planet. Her motto is that kids may be young, but age does not define your impact. Kate is coming all the way from America to join us at Djuma for a live safari. She wants to connect with all of the WildEarth kids, answer your questions, and help you understand that there are plenty of ways that you can make a difference regardless of your age. So join us on the 4th of August at 2:30 p.m. Central African Time for a very special kids safari.
And I turned to Shaw and I saw that she had this panicked look on her face. Either she was afraid that something had happened or she was afraid that she was going to miss out on something. But instead of her missing out on those lions, we drove up next to them and I switched off the car so that she could hear what was going on. Now, these lions had killed a kudu, and she could hear these two cubs, both 8 months old at the time, busy pushing and shoving each other out the way to get to the best parts of the meat. And the mom was lying just to the side in the shade. Now, I'd known that before losing her sight, Sean probably knew what a lion looked like. But I really wanted her to know what this lion looked like. So for the first time in my guiding career, I started to describe to someone what a lion looked like. And I found that, I started to notice things in that lion that I'd never seen before.
You are cheeky. That was a brave decision. Amber Eyes is... Oh. That is so magic. That was absolutely wonderful. Amber Eyes just gave that cub an enormous hug.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
This male in Ngala is being very obliging this morning, and thank you for that, mister. Ravi says he wants to be famous, and I think you're right. You are famous. I can imagine if you're a male in Ngala in summer, you suffer. Really suffer with the heat and your long coat. But in the winter, my goodness, they must be smiling the biggest of smiles. Must keep them warm, especially in comparison to an impala's very, very short-haired coat. Now, it is said to be for sexual selection to impress the ladies, sort of handicapped hypothesis, just like a lion's mane. Hey, look at me. It's very hot, but I have a long shaggy coat, which means I am surviving. I'm strong and very impressive, which means I've got great genes. Pick me. I think he's disappeared now. There was apparently alarm calls on the dam cam earlier, but I mean, we scratched around, not one single track. We didn't hear anything, so it could possibly be coming from much further away. It's winter, after all. Sounds like it's much closer than it actually is. Even for us, not just the dam cam, even when we hear alarm calls, we have to think, it's probably a lot further. Leo, no, they are not. Kudu are. Kudu are the biggest antelope we get here. The males are much bigger than that. If you were to see them side by side, it's a substantial difference. Kudus are huge. But the biggest of all antelopes, we don't get them here in this area of the Lowveld, but it is the eland. Not the most attractive antelope, I must say, in my opinion. But they are huge. But here in the Lowveld, it is the kudu. Inyalas are big, but definitely not the biggest. The kudu bulls are huge, and they're so magnificent. Really magnificent animals with those long, spirally horns. Kudu ladies are also very big. Even the calves are actually really big. Even the newborns are quite a size when they're first born. Okay, we're going to do one last sort of loop. It's been a very quiet morning, but you never know, that could change. We're going to send you guys to Matt, who's at a waterhole.
Welcome back to Phinda, everybody. Not too far from that hyena den is a lovely large watering hole. Lauren spoke about the largest antelope species that they get, kudu. Same for us here on Phinda. And on the far side of this watering hole, there are a couple of waterbuck on the edge of this watering hole. And in the middle here is a relatively small pot of hippos. You'll see they're all coming up for a breath of air. And then disappear back down underneath the water. A couple of egrets on the banks as well, foraging for food. A whole lot of yellow-billed storks. Yellow-billed storks, there's grey herons, lots and lots of egrets, some African spoonbills as well. There's waterbuck, but really, really windy. You can see here now on top of the water, almost like waves coming through there. But really, really windy conditions. So a lot of things will be on edge today, or should I say, plains animals, palas, nyalas, everything will be on edge because it is so windy. They'll often, and that being said, those waterbuck on the far side are now venturing to probably a little bit more of a sheltered area where they feel more comfortable. But like waves crashing through here on the edge of the water. There's also on the far side a large crocodile sunning itself on the banks of this watering hole. A couple of white-breasted cormorants flying overhead, sure you would have seen previously with the guys here on Phinda, there is a watering hole that's just littered with white-breasted cormorants who are nesting there at the moment, and it's like an international airport with them taking off and landing all day, and they make quite a bit of a noise. But there we go, Glenn's just zoomed in on the crocodile on the far side, busy sunning itself. Now in winter, when the watering holes are a little bit cooler, they being the reptiles that they are, just trying to warm up a bit, get some energy. Hippos too have probably been out all night foraging or eating grass, as they do, and have returned in the early hours of the morning, so still a little bit of movement going on from them, but they will probably be in and out of sleep all day as well, resting their heads on each other's backs. A couple of white-faced whistling ducks in the water just below us as well. Really, really pretty birds. Their unmistakable call. I'm not very good at mimicking bird calls, but that very distinct sound that they whistle is similar to what they sound like. Everyone just commenting on how beautiful Phinda is. I couldn't agree with you more. It's a really special reserve, this 7 different habitats. Very close to the Indian Ocean, the east coast as the crow flies, about 30 kilometers or so off to our right. And with that, Lake St. Lucia's not too far away, pelicans and flamingos who every so often end up on Phinda, which is also really interesting. Over 430 species of birds that we've recorded here on Phinda. So we're spoiled. And now, we mentioned the lesser striped swallows that we saw this morning, just before we left. Slowly but surely starting to see a couple of the birds that would otherwise have disappeared for our winter, starting to come back for our summer now, which is exciting. With that come all of the cuckoos. African emerald cuckoos are a really, really pretty bird, green in colour with that bright yellow chest. There's another one to tick off the list, so hopefully towards the end of the year we start seeing a few or hearing a few more of those for you couch twitchers at home to tick off your list. And this watering hole is never normally this full. We just had really, really good rains at the beginning of the year. In fact, we were chatting to Glenn about it earlier. I think over 2 days we had just over 200 mils of rain, so everything has filled up significantly. And this is the overflow of a couple of watering holes further to our left, one of which being the one with all the cormorants. And there you see that African spoonbill also looking for its breakfast as it puts its head in the water, moving its bill from side to side. How it gets its name, that very distinct spoon-shaped bill of it, as the egret wades across. Maybe working together, those two birds trying to flush fish and the likes towards one another. Alison commenting on how white and clean these birds are. They are very white, bright white in colour, looking across at the others. But then you have a look at something like those yellow-billed storks. There are a couple of youngsters in the mix there as well. They're white, not as crisp as the egrets and the spoonbills on the outer banks. These two stopping every so often looking for frogs and the likes. That egret's on the right, and then the spoonbill again, very vigorous action that it uses as it moves its head from side to side in the water, trying to flush things up and out to then grab onto to eat. Every so often in this area as well are things like leopard. There's a leopard that was here not so long ago. I think it had managed to catch something and dragged it into that island. And there's only really the one side that you can access this island from. Leopards, being the cats that they are, not very fond of water, so will avoid that as best as they can, and would have had to have walked all the way around, and that provided for really good game viewing at the time. But we haven't heard any alarms or anything like that that would tell us that there's a leopard in the vicinity this morning, so everyone, yeah, particularly the birds, are at ease. Leopards have a very varied diet, from birds to fish to other mammals, parlor and the likes. Are not scared of catching something like a bird, but the slot are not a threat from any of them this morning. And this weather being so windy, you hear less and less birds just because it takes them so much energy to get all chirpy, and this wind they'll probably just hunker down. So we'll spend a little bit more time here and see. We might go into an area where there were a couple of elephants and see if we can't find them this morning too. Back with the African spoonbill, who, unlike the rest of the spoonbills, are all just resting on the banks. These two working with the egret for its next meal, just watching quite carefully as it lifts its head out the water to see if it has anything in its bill. But a very busy bird, that red face, and then you can see that spoon-shaped bill we spoke of just now as it lifts its head. But it's determined to catch something, and I think if we spend a little bit more time, I wouldn't be surprised if it emerges with some breakfast. And you can see the feathers on its back, just how windy it is. Conditions have changed from this morning. There's not a breath of wind to now really, really gusty, but typical of the month of August for us. Can hear every so often a hippo taking a breath as they come up, and far more protected from the wind down below the water as to above. So they will just be up and down all day for the rest of the day before they come out later on tonight to forage. There's a hippo. Let's see how long it stays in sight before it disappears underground. Really, really windy conditions here all of a sudden this Wednesday morning. A couple more hippos emerging. Have a look at how small that one is, that little baby, mom and its calf, all listening to the vehicle that's passing by.
Oh, welcome back. It's been a long time. We have been doing quite a lot of driving this morning. So we did stick in one area because I found some leopard tracks, a female leopard, around Galagopan. So we have been driving all around here, but we didn't get any luck. So we're making our way now to Galagopan again and check if there's no new tracks. The last track I got looked like she was coming to the block. So I'm not sure if she's still in the park or she crossed, but I didn't see any truck again. So we're taking here again. It's been quite quiet on Djuma today. There was some sighting on buffalo chook, but not much on Djuma. Sighting on buffalo chook, but not much on Djuma. Sighting at Ngala and Phinda, so this is very nice. Yeah. We're currently at Kalagopan. We've been scratching around that area for like 1 hour now, and not much luck. But I think what I will do maybe is try Zoe's Road again. Yeah, it was a very quiet morning with a lot of driving. Jackson, you would like to know if we get meerkats in the Kruger? No, we don't. The meerkats are more like in the arid areas, like where Tswalu is, for example. But in the Kruger, we don't get meerkats. I never saw a meerkat on myself, so that's also on my bucket list. I saw one, but not in their natural habitat. Okay, so there's not much time left, so let's try to continue. Yeah, maybe drive towards Zoe's Road there and see. Because we're thinking it might be Tlalomba, I'm not sure. But if it's her, she like also to do Zoe's Road. The first time I found her was on Zoe's Road actually, so. Okay, so we'll make our best to try to find that leopard. In the meantime, we'll send you to Rule, who's on a bumble.
What a fantastic morning it has been so far. Birmingham Pride, Birmingham male, Ngala female with her youngsters on another carcass, which is quite spectacular. We did check out Clara Dam. That young male hasn't made it there yet. I think he's decided to settle down where we left him. So, let's see if we can maybe find some elephants for you guys this morning. Or a giraffe. I have not seen a giraffe in a couple of days, so it would be very nice to get to see a giraffe. We are driving in an area. I think when we drive further up, it's going to open up. Normally there's a lot of antelope around there, so hopefully we're lucky enough to come across some impalas, wildebeest and zebra or any of that. We'll see how that goes, but I would really love to see or find an elephant this morning. You know, it's often something that I say to people, like when someone comes here, especially for the first time, you can imagine somebody coming from outside the country, an elephant or a giraffe becomes an animal that people think you'll just see them easily because the elephants are the biggest animals on land and a giraffe being the tallest, thinking that it makes it easier to get to spot them, and sometimes you'd be amazed. You would drive for a couple of days and not find or not see them. Sometimes you drive past them until someone or a tracker says there's a giraffe there or there's a giraffe behind that. But sometimes we do get lucky that wherever we drive we get to find some elephants. It is just hard to believe, but also knowing that elephants don't have any territories, so they roam freely, making it impossible to try and figure out where they could be from where they were yesterday or 2 days ago, because they could be here today and be in a different place completely tomorrow because they roam freely and they keep moving. So that's one of the things that makes it a bit tricky sometimes to get to see them. And sometimes there comes a time in a year where there are elephants almost in every single road on Ngala that you drive. And sometimes there are no elephants at all, and we desperately look for elephants at times. But recently I have seen a few herds every now and again, sometimes even between drives, coming down for a drink at the lodge or on the pens. So hopefully we get lucky enough to spot or find one of those elephants.
The Endangered Wildlife Trust fights at the forefront of conservation, across the vast karoo and sweeping grasslands, in remote pockets of forest, along road networks, across African skies, and in communities to conserve our wildlife and wild spaces. Help us to protect forever, together. Donate now at ewt.org.za.
Here at the Advanced Rifle Handling Challenge, which is actually lots of challenges in one to gauge the contestants' skills at different distances and different speeds. This is probably the challenge that the contestants are the most nervous about. So let's get them locked and loaded. The competitors are now doing the Healy's Hop, where they have to run back and forth to a target, turn, take aim and shoot. And this simulates a chase in a real environment and gets the heart pumping and the blood pressure up. James gave us a demonstration and the skill involved in this exercise is remarkable.
Oh, it's going to be in trouble now. Oh, this is unbelievable stuff. Here comes a hippo in too. Go, Impala. There's a hippo coming in. I can't believe what we're seeing here. This is what we normally see in East Africa. It's all over. Hippo leaping at the crocodile now. Everything's gone underwater.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
The bushhawk feed allows the camera person some creative license. This is my favorite style of shooting. You have to be mentally and physically prepared. You're shooting handheld in some very strange and contorted positions, always with a straight back, often in the squat position, low to the ground. The creativity comes down to the relationship and sync you have with your presenter. The more you understand each other, the more you'll be able to tell the story seamlessly.
From Ngala, we now have kudu. But it's young kudus. They're not adults, especially the one on the right. You can't entirely see it too well. I love the youngsters. I was just talking about them. They're big youngsters, if that makes sense. But you can still see they're small and they're very sweet. And sometimes kudu are not always, oh, look at that. They can be camera shy. But this is so lovely. We're sitting quite far away, and they're clearly just browsing here. They are predominantly browsers. And a lot of the vegetation is still very rich in moisture. The leaves are still very delicious, which is great for the kudu health. I used to find kudus, I think it was 2 years ago, that were dying in the reserve from too much tannin builds up in their bodies. But right now the vegetation's still lush and they've still got quite a broad, diverse diet. Okay, we're going to slowly bumble to quarantine and see if anything is there for the end of the morning, as these kudus are clearly enjoying their breakfast. I'm going to send you guys over to Cedric.
Yeah, welcome back with us. We're currently on quarantine, and we found 2 ground-owned bills. No leopard, unfortunately, but that was a nice surprise. They are basically now walking around and looking for food. They are beautiful big birds. So you can see the red face on them. That shows that they are fully matured. The younger one, it will be a darker face or a yellow face. It is very beautiful to see them fly as well. And we often hear them call in the morning. I think yesterday I was talking about that at Chitwa Dam when I heard a few of them calling in the distance. Yeah, look like they're making their way towards the middle of quarantine. I know that Lauren is heading that way, so she might find them as well. Now we did spend a lot of time trying to locate that leopard again. So we didn't see much. I really tried hard to find that leopard, but maybe this afternoon. Looked like it caught something. No. It's looking, yeah, is it killing something? No. Yeah, obviously we can't get too close to them, otherwise they will maybe fly away. Megan, you think they are gorgeous? Yes, they are. You can find them actually in bigger flock. This one seems to be only 2 of them. I think I saw them before near Treehouse Dam one time when I was there about 3-4 weeks ago. And I also saw a bigger group on Buffalo Cutline. Yeah, maybe I will have to try to reposition. Because they're going towards the main area of quarantine now. I can't cut into the block. No, let me try to go that side there. It'll make it a little bit easier. I just don't want to spook them and then they decide to fly away. I'm going to stop there in the shade. It will be nice for us. It's getting a bit warm now. Yeah, there's one left of the tree in the open. There we go. So we can walk like that for a long time and just look for food. Yeah, in the morning it's very nice, and there's lots of them calling, so you sit and you hear. It's very nice to listen to them. Kenneth, you asked me, I think if I got it well, what do they like to eat? They will eat from snakes to frogs, all sort of ground animals, because this is how they hunt, they walk and try to find food, but also some mammals. They might eat like a young scrub bear as well, so they eat quite a lot of prey. Continuously moving. But I'm quite happy that we found them now, because our morning was very quiet with all the tracking we did. As you can see, they have very big beak, and we can kill lots of stuff with that actually. Oh, come in the opening there. Okay, let's wait, maybe it will come out. It goes here. I can't see the second one again, but this one should come in the opening now. The wind is picking up a bit now. I hope it's not going to be too windy this afternoon. Obviously we will head out again this afternoon. But I hope you enjoyed the drive this morning. It was great sighting at Ngala and Phinda. Unfortunately a little bit quiet with us at Djuma, but we had fun, and I'm sure you had fun as well. Yeah, we're hoping for better action here at Djuma for this afternoon. But thank you very much for your question, and see you this afternoon. So I would like to say bye for now.